Cannabis law reform scored a big win following the launch of the first Herbal cooperative.
If the legislation is not passed, then they cannot register a cooperative. So we basically had to wait for the legislation to be completed so that we could register the cooperative. So now that the legislation is in its final stages, the cooperative department decided to go ahead and register us now.
But the Herbal cooperative is not celebrating just yet, as interim president Andre de Caries says one significant component is still absent from the equation: a licensing board.
It is a huge step because it's within the legislation. It's a necessary component of the industry having a central purchasing agency. But I think the more important step is the actual creation of the licensing authority and the medicinal cannabis board. Those are two important things that are within the legislation that we can't go ahead. If there's no licensing agency, then nobody can obtain a license to do anything, to sell, to grow, to research, to manufacture, to export, to import. So we need the licensing agency.
I'm pleased now as the Minister for Cooperatives that finally we've reached that stage where there is a cooperative in place. Just before coming here, what I had to do was to prepare a memo to send to the Cabinet with the draft legislation. The conversation with the public continues, but we really wanted to get a Cabinet nod in terms of the structure of the substance abuse legislation, which is going to incorporate cannabis and other areas. Yes, and after that, then we get into the licensing. But we need to put our structures in place first.
Despite the procedural gains in establishing a cannabis industry in St. Lucia, a viral video depicting underage students smoking the herb freely in a popular park has stoked concerns in some parts of society, prompting calls for authorities to take more steps to protect minors.
We've been decriminalized for a long time, and the plan was to have a national educational program basically teaching people ganja etiquette and what is expected, their behavior that is expected in a legalized regime. And we've really fallen short on the public service announcements and going to schools and persuading early initiation with students so that they could get on with their academics. Public smoking is a big issue, so we have to actually, that should have happened simultaneously with decriminalization. But the ministries all work separate of each other, so there's no sort of everybody coming together and designing an educational program so that we don't encourage underage smoking.
The level of discussion we must have in terms of protecting our young people. As I said again before coming here, that is what we're working on. How do we intensify the public conversation and the public education? It's a huge task, but we want to really seek again the cooperation of the Ministry of Education, because we cannot do this on the side. It has to be immersed into the school system. The conversation, we have to speak with the Ministry of Equity as well. Social outreach. It's a huge task, but we are doing this together with all the other things that you're doing.
Parliament could be the next step for the cannabis legislation, should the Cabinet give the regulations the nod. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.